Hey.
What's
How are
up?
you? It's not Follow Friday at
No,
all.
it's not.
That's
It feels like it.
I don't know what day it is.
It feels like it because
How am I
Dave's
supposed to
here.
know what day it is? Oh, Dave's here. It's
You don't
Thursday.
even know what's in your checking account. How are you going to know what day
I don't
it
need to
is?
know that.
I'm here using checks.
I don't
That's
need to know
so
that.
old.
Dave revealed today that he basically is using an abacus and writing checks.
So you sit there and balance the thing? That
So
is
you actually take it, you're
old.
balancing your checkbook, and you slide the bead to the other side.
Well, that's how an abacus works, numbskull.
Oh my goodness.
It's an Apple abacus, so it's really expensive.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can get all my email on
It's
it.
got Wi-Fi,
It's a Wi-Fi enabled abacus.
so it like actually calculates it for you as you slide it.
In my first econ class, I had not done the reading. And
Shocking, by the way.
They're going over.
Oh, that wasn't the story. Okay.
No, and they're going over the chapter, and he's talking about a widget. I'm like, what's a widget? And so I raised my hand. I said, could you explain what a widget is? He says, obviously, you haven't done the reading. He never answered my question. He went on.
College professors, man.
No girls would talk to me from that class.
I
I wonder why.
I had a sociology professor that
Hey,
was a terrible
Terry.
teacher. Kid raises their hand like the day before the test. You know, Mr. Whatever, I don't understand, Professor So-and-so. I just don't understand this. He goes, don't try to understand. Make lists and memorize.
Oh, that's bad.
What?
Oh my
That's not how you
goodness.
teach.
That's how he taught.
Oh,
That's how
wow.
he taught.
And he used overhead transparencies, and he wrote in like cursive on them.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't read a thing that guy wrote up there.
Uh-huh. So it's
Adrian,
tough.
what's up? She says, happy Thursday. Mike says, good morning. You guys are informed today. I write checks for rent, title, etc.
Well, welcome to Dave's Club. He'll send you a telegram all about that later.
Adrian writes checks too, Brian, so we're looking kind of bad. Hey, Terry. She says hi to Brian and Janelle.
We know Dave writes checks his mouth can't cash. Isn't that what people say?
No, the checks I write, my mouth can cash.
I don't think that's where that phrase really goes.
Uh-huh.
Mr. Check Writer.
Roseanne, bonjour. Your
Bonjour, mon ami.
Le Monde, right? Le Monde.
Hi, your ice cream.
Hello. What did you say, Roseanne? She's actually from France, and she travels a lot. She's a big deal. Roseanne.
Bonjour.
Look.
She's from France.
Bonjour, monsieur.
Look, this is her, and then look, this was in France. She said
Oh,
somewhere in France.
right. You know, a lot
at
of
that.
she doesn't have her arm lifted up because if she's truly from France, she does not shave her armpit.
So that is true. Can you tell us why? Is it true?
Why is
I
it
thought that
true?
was German.
I don't know why. It's an oddity when you see it in mass. It almost feels like I'm in Oberlin.
Oh, it's
A
true.
lot of the students there. Now I don't know why women do or don't shave their armpits. It's just strange
When I went and
it's
visited,
paraded.
Remember,
When
his
the-
opinion is not necessarily movie radios.
when my parents dropped me off at Oberlin, we were like driving around campus.
Did they say just get back in the car? We're going home.
Oh my goodness. You see kids with their book bag walking to class. It was raining and no shoes, no socks, just walking. Like it was little things
Like they're
that.
homeless.
Why?
It was weird. And they're actually, a lot of those kids got a whole lot of money. It was
Yes,
just weird.
there's a lot of East Coast there because Oberlin College is like $70,000 a year.
Yeah, it is.
Dave, you got a whole bunch of fans here writing their checks. Wow.
Write the checks. Who? Everybody has to write a check at some point in time.
Occasionally we do, and we're always like, where's the checkbook?
Yeah.
You don't even know where your checkbook
And it's
is
very-
at.
I know where it's
irritating.
supposed to go, but sometimes Sarah has it in her purse. And then I have to stop and go, okay, wait, here's how you write a check.
Can we-
Pay to the
so,
order up. Today, you
today-
have to write out the words. That's so dumb.
And sometimes I'll forget stuff. I'll write the number, and then they got to come back and be like, ma'am, you forgot the... It's so annoying.
Do they really have to come back? Yeah, I get irritated. When I have to write the words out. You know what
Yeah.
the word is?
Yeah.
When I'm using my watch or whatever to pay you, to ask me to write it out.
It's very irritating.
I could see that it's a tough thing
It's
for
hard
you to write
being
a
us.
check. Adulting sometimes can be very cumbersome, Brian.
Oh, please.
Just being an adult.
Viola in the house. She has a lot of kids and a lot of grandchildren. She is awesome.
Oh, Roseanne answered you.
Dave, You must never make fun of French people, and you also have never eaten a French cuisine to speak so poorly of it. And no, it's not a French thing to not shave. A lot of French women don't have hair, but...
I don't have hair. And I don't shave my armpits.
It's actually a German thing, I think.
Angie, I've actually heard that before about French, so maybe the people, they have a reputation.
I saw it pretty much. No, there's a lot of French food that I like. And when I was in Paris, by the way, we had an absolutely wonderful experience in Paris. I loved Paris.
Were it not for the rude people, I had a great time in Paris every time.
I only ran into one rude person who was a cab driver, and you could run into a rude cab driver anywhere.
Yeah.
And so that wasn't that big of a deal. I was once in a cab in Las Vegas, and I said, "Bro, just pull over. I'm just getting out. I'll pay you whatever you want." It was just too much. So I've seen rude cab drivers everywhere, but I love the food in Paris. The food was fantastic.
I need to tell my French story. I was going to tell you later, but I'll just tell it now. By the way, if you have financial questions for Dave, throw those up here. We'll talk about
Lots
those
of people
too.
writing checks. You guys are great. Glad you're supporting Dave.
Dust off the abacus. Oh, wait, you don't have to dust it off. You still use it. That's right. So I'm in France, right? It was Sarah, and we're walking in Paris, and we go past like a bakery of sorts, and they have cakes in the window. And she's like, "I want some cake." You know. So they have little like tables, everybody's sitting eating their cake. I go up and I'm respectful. So I learned how to say I would like in French. Je voudrais.
Je voudrais.
Ooh.
Je voudrais. I didn't know how to say cake, but I was like, parlez-vous anglais?
Bolo.
Is that cake?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that, but I was like,
Pretty sure.
first I said, parlez-vous anglais? And which is, do you speak English? And they went, no.
They did, but they just don't want to.
They don't want to speak it. They don't like to. So I go, je voudrais, and then I pointed at the cake because I don't know how to say cake. They got me my cake. I sit down, and Sarah goes, she sits down. She goes, Brian, how am I going to eat this cake? What am I, an animal? I don't have any utensils.
Am I an animal?
I need a fork, Brian. And so I went up there, and you remember me, je voudrais a fork. This person who did speak English goes, "We have no forks."
For you!
And I go, "What?" "We have no forks." Look around. Everybody's got a fork. Is this bring your own fork restaurant? Everyone has a fork. Except me. They wouldn't give me a fork.
Why? You still didn't figure it out.
We have no... I figured it out. They didn't want to give the American a fork. It's exactly what
Oh,
happened.
wow.
I'm telling you that's what happened because everyone else had a fork.
Roseanne is validating a little bit what you've been saying. She says a lot of folks mistake being French for being Parisian.
That's it.
Which are two totally different things.
Parisians hate Americans.
Parisians just don't care that you're there because millions of people come to their country every single year as tourists, and they're just tired of all of them. They're probably quite appreciated this quarantine break, to be quite frank.
So they're tired of making money off of the
That's
tourists.
the irritating thing. I was in Amsterdam and we rented bikes and some Dutch
like a
woman.
real
All over the
What
place.
is-
what am I
Exactly.
missing?
Thank
Before
you.
kids.
What
Before
am I
kids.
missing?
Thank
Says
you.
the guy who flies to Hawaii for the day. Okay, so stop being such a big talker. So this woman starts yelling at us for not following the bike sign properly, something in Amsterdam, and I just had it. I shouldn't have done. I started yelling at her. I'm like, "What are you yelling at me for? I'm paying your bills. I'm a tourist. You stop yelling." It's like, why are Parisians mad at people for going there? That's how. You know how much? When
You have annoyed me!
Do you know how much they make on tourism there?
A lot.
A lot.
By the way, the Louvre smells like an armpit.
It does.
It does. It smells like an armpit. And the Mona Lisa is like the size of a post.
Such a disappointment.
I was like,
Really?
wait a minute, what?
People
That's
spaz
it?
about that thing, and you can't get close to it.
You
It's behind
cannot.
plexiglass. There's a glare.
Yeah.
It's like this big.
I was
What a
totally
disappointment.
shocked. Now, there were a lot of other museums that we went to that were glorious. The Monet Museum was really...
I
it
like
was
the
beautiful.
Louvre, except for that. But
I did not... Well, the Louvre, for one thing, you need a week to go through the Louvre.
you do.
Although one time we were in London and my youngest son was with me.
were you a world traveler in
And
London?
my wife and my oldest son said, "We're going to go shopping." I'm like, "You go shopping anywhere. We're going to go see Kensington Palace." And so we go there, and the guy says, "Sir, the museum's closing in 25 minutes. You're not going to have enough time." And I look at my son. I said, "We got enough time." We ran through the palace just to see it, just to say that we could see it. So,
One of my favorite things in London was years ago they had the Torture Museum, which was
I don't know if we went
wax figures where they would show medieval torture on wax figures. It was horrifying. I was a little kid. There's some crazy stuff, man.
Yeah.
Hola, Betty. Betty's here. Carrie said, Brian, you should have learned Chinese.
Mandarin, yeah.
Deborah.
I'm not
Oh,
smart
yeah.
enough for
Why did I
that.
say Chinese?
You don't
Yes,
have to
Mandarin.
learn Chinese.
Sarah
I'm telling
says,
you right now.
I was disappointed by the size of the Sistine Chapel.
Sistine Chapel's small. It's not that big. And gotta be honest, ceiling, not that interesting. Back wall, very interesting. The Last Judgment on the back wall of the Sistine Chapel is beautiful.
So we're talking about all the disappointments. What was one that you're like, oh my gosh, this has like,
Versailles. Versailles was beautiful.
Versailles is gorgeous. The Hall of Mirrors, historic room where the Treaty of Versailles was signed. Beautiful place. Versailles is gorgeous. I liked the Colosseum is incredible.
Yes.
Going in the Colosseum in Rome, the
I
Forum is
covered
great.
myself, sorry.
And wow.
Now we're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Hold on.
I'm sorry, that wasn't planned, but I did cover myself.
I'll be right back, guys. You keep talking. I'll be right
Will
back.
you buy me a casket while you're out? I'm
What
gonna
is he
need it.
doing? What other places were no? What is it? Were better than what you expected, or
So-
things that you saw?
Yeah, we went to Rome, and I really loved. I loved the Italian people were so nice. I was just
Oh, in Rome.
shocked at how nice the Italian people were everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. We went to Florence. We went to Rome. Venice was a
That's
little.
better.
Venice was a
Oh
little.
my goodness!
Thank you.
Gosh.
Now, when you go to the bank today, Brian, just remind them I'm supposed to be wearing this mask.
He talked about Rome and how it was great. I was gonna ask you guys.
You have any more sneezes coming?
Have you in Italy? Have you ever gone to Sicily?
I did not go to Sicily.
Nobody goes to
Is
Sicily.
it true? No. What? Something about black beaches. Is that true?
Sicilians.
The black sand. Is that
I haven't
true?
been there.
Oh.
But I went to Pisa, which was, the tower's cool, but Pisa is really dumb.
Yeah,
The only thing in Pisa is that tower.
is a
That's it.
poorly built tower.
Yeah, that's it. You go drive for a long time to see a tilted tower, and there's nothing else of interest there.
Could you get a cafe?
I mean, probably. Buy a whole bunch of
Would-
tourist stuff. That
Would
lines
you have
gift
made
shops.
me pay for your coffee there with sprinkles and
Yes.
then blown me off?
Yes.
I would say you made me drive to Pisa to blow me off. Just like you did in Chicago.
Isaac says, I used to work in Berlin, Ohio, and can definitely relate to getting frustrated with tourists. A lot of people are just trying to get their everyday jobs done, and it's hard when people are just casually driving and walking around when you have urgent things to do. Sandy says, I lived in Paris for a year to finish my college French major. We could go to the Louvre for free. Often I went there and just sat in front of my favorite
Yeah.
painting for about 10 minutes and then left again. It was wonderful having that access.
Have
Yeah,
you
no.
gotten the smell of armpit out of your nostrils?
See, it didn't smell when I was there. I don't know
Oh
what
my
was going on.
gosh.
Because when I was, I actually was in the midst of a course in college on the Renaissance and the Reformation.
That sounds exciting.
And it was amazing, actually.
Yeah.
And I was able to con my professor into letting me write a paper about my visit to the Louvre because they have a lot of Renaissance art there, and get me out of all the other work that was done when I was gone on the trip. It was
Sounds
great.
like a scam to me.
It was, but the Renaissance artwork there is beautiful. They have a ton
What
of
is she
Da
doing
Vinci's
with
in it.
that French major? Just out of curiosity.
No, she speaks French, Dave.
Well, that's she uses it to speak French.
Yes.
Maybe
When
she's a
she's in
teacher.
Montreal, it comes in handy.
Hello. Betty says black sands in El Salvador from the volcanoes. Beach is beautiful. Went on a couple of mission trips. Poor country. They love the Americans. Actually, I was wondering then if, because I wanted to go to Costa Rica with
I've been
Len
there.
at some point. How is it? Because they have a volcano too.
I
And
stayed right
love-
next to it, R&L.
Did you like it? Like
Yeah.
I've heard it's one of the best places in Latin
In
America.
fact, one of my
heard.
favorite things to do is we went to these volcanic pools, like these hot springs.
Oh,
Sounds dangerous.
That's cool.
Volcanic
Well, it is
pool.
right next to a volcano, and the water's heated from the volcano.
That's
Iceland has
cool.
those,
It was raining while we were at the hot pools, or the what do they call
Hot
it?
springs.
Hot springs, right? It was so beautiful. It was at night. It was really lovely, and you kind of go from pool to pool, and you work your way down the mountain, then you're done. Yeah, it was lovely. It was lovely.
Oh,
It's a
that's
little. It's there's not a lot of infrastructure there, so it's a little.
So farm-like?
Yeah,
I've heard a lot of
it's
Americans
farm-like.
retire there. Like it's super safe, they've said. And
It's safer. There. One of the things is that was a little disturbing. was that the sex trade was pretty rampant there and out in the
Costa Rica.
open.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it's still like that. I'd like to think that it's not. So Arenal itself was a little lacking in infrastructure, but
Okay.
the people are lovely.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, Todd, he didn't notice. He doesn't care. Isn't it tragic, Todd? Like, I don't even know if he's my friend anymore. Wouldn't a friend notice something like that, Todd?
Roseanne, I want to meet you in person. You're well traveled. You appreciate culture. But let's before I read her comment, let's go back to Todd and talk about Brian's beard.
I was with her for 45 minutes before she noticed. She didn't notice then. I brought it up on the radio. She was like, "Oh, you got like inches cut off of this."
How come you're not mad at him?
There's a double standard in this. I am mad at you.
Wow.
There's
Yeah.
a double standard. If Levon got a couple inches cut off her hair and you didn't notice, welcome couch for the next week.
One time she got her hair cut. She said, "How does it look?" I said, "Oh, it looks nice and brassy." And apparently that's the wrong thing to say because
Oh, my
that was like
God.
20 years ago. She's still telling that story.
It's like when I told Sarah her makeup. Oh, that's different. Oh, brassy.
Can we call you Bozo? Is that what you said next?
Roseanne says, Costa Rica is beautiful. If you're an environmentalist at all, it is heavenly. You must go off the beaten track. We spent our time on the Pacific side. That's one of my favorites. Instead of the Atlantic, and it's gorgeous. Plus, the diving is lovely there. Or maybe driving. There's a Groupon.
The driving is not lovely. The
Oh,
diving is lovely.
There's like a Groupon package, and it starts off on the Atlantic side. You spend a couple days.
Dave, Groupon is from a smartphone app. You don't write checks for this. You have to pay digital.
Yeah, you do. You
And
spend time.
and it's like a coupon that you cut out.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
And then spend time around the volcano, and then go and spend a couple days by the Pacific side. So it just felt, it looked fun. You guys are weird. Oh my God.
Such a jerk.
It's your love language, though.
Sarah, who actually listens from Ecuador every day,
Ecuador.
she says, Cuenca, Ecuador, we have infrastructure, hot springs pools, mountains, no active volcanoes. Betty says, our son and nephew love Costa Rica, have been there several times, have traveled the unpaved roads. They're younger than I am, so super adventurous.
Fun side note, if you ever try to pronounce a Spanish word and you're not quite there,
She
won't say anything, but she'll repeat the word correctly and just move on.
So as to like drive a knife into your back?
Yeah.
No,
And then,
what?
Dave, let's go to Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
Costa
I
Rica.
can't roll
Like
my
I said,
R's.
Costa Rica.
I've seen Americans deal with people that have a thick accent, and y'all, I've seen it. So it's Spanish. Let's make
Where's
sure
the,
we're pronouncing correctly.
Where's the Bono again?
The what?
Bono.
What is that?
The Bono. The bathroom?
Oh, baño.
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 And then I'll go, oh, the baño. Baño.
So,
Baño.
Oh my goodness.
thinking that I speak fluent Portuguese.
Betty says, make sure you roll your R's.
very
Gracias.
diff-
Carro.
Gracias.
It's difficult to do.
No.
If you weren't raised that way. But I was in Brazil one time at a vacation spot. No Brazilians with us at the time. And I thought, well, they have this cheese bread. It's called pão de queijo. And so I go to the grocery store and I'm going to buy it. And I'm asking all the people for it. But I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. And it turns out a little accent turns it into something very wrong.
Ooh.
And
Oh.
so I got back and there were Brazilians there. And I said, well, I was asking people for this. And they were all laughing at me. And they said, well, what were you saying? And I said it, and they just walked away because they couldn't even repeat what I was saying.
Our girl, Dawn, is on here. And I love her, first of all. We went out to lunch last year.
Did she
She's
buy?
So awesome. No, I bought. She's my girl. She said,
Thanks a lot.
DR,
You bought lunch for me.
DR is gorgeous, a gorgeous place to visit. Enjoyed our time
Of course
there.
you picked that one.
And Dave has said he would come when we go visit my family, and he would hang.
Yeah.
And it's a whole different experience when you hang like in the city, and you're brave enough to come and do it. It's not unsafe. It's just like we're a whole. It's loud.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
a lot.
Have you ever hung around with a room full of Polish people?
No. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so you can hang. See, that's cool.
I don't think she's ever hung around with
No,
her.
I haven't. I haven't. No,
Most
but you're
people
loud. Are
would.
you like Italians?
They don't hang.
We're
Because
loud.
we're the very simple. Okay.
And they by the end of the evening they all smell.
And they don't roll their R's.
They don't.
No, yeah, no, but he has to roll his R's if he's coming to DR.
I'll try.
A
It's
lot of
just,
Polish jokes in Minnesota, by the way.
Yeah.
Lynn, y'all
You
haven't
don't
been,
say now, eh?
y'all haven't been where Lynn has been. She says New Zealand is the
Yeah.
most beautiful place on earth.
I'm not sure I want to be on a plane for a week straight just to go to New Zealand. I can just watch Lord of the Rings and be there. You know?
Wide open spaces.
I wonder why the people have such hairy feet, but I don't, you know.
Do the women shave their armpits there? Do you think?
I'm not
Can
sure.
you? Okay, so
The elders
Betty.
seem like nice people, though.
Lovely people.
Lovely,
They're
yes.
lovely people.
Yeah.
Oh well, thank you
Stay
for
away
the
from
correction.
Mordor, though. Man.
Roseanne says she's not from France. She's from French Canada. Her great grandparents
that's even
are from
worse.
Normandy. I'm
You
sorry,
mean the 51st state, Canada?
but-
Isn't that what we call
I always love to show my students the population map for Canada
that? Mm-hmm.
compared to the United States because I think it's 90% of the Canadian population, like on a map, lives this close to the U.S. border. Like the population
Well,
map
They're
is
like
the
the
border.
second biggest country in the world. That is like, what are they doing with all that up there?
There's nothing up there.
Oh.
And then they talk down to us about certain things.
It's got to be tough knowing that you were this close to being an American, but you're not. You're a Canadian.
And then
We're so sorry. We're so
Roseanne,
sorry.
you my girl, love
Canadians
you.
are all like, and
She
we
was
gave a whole territory to the native people. And I was like, oh, did you? Did you look at a climate map of Nunavut or whatever it's
No,
called?
my
It's an
goodness.
Arctic tundra that you weren't using. So stop acting like you're so great.
And they even
Okay.
try and talk like Americans and act like Americans.
And they have all those HGTV shows, and you know they do because they say house.
That's right.
You listen, you go, I thought you were in America.
About.
Yeah.
About.
Maybe you'll agree.
That hurts just saying about.
In the house.
Roseanne says, no, Dave, I think you're wrong. Canada is far too socialist, communist to be described as part of America. Ha ha ha.
She's right
laughing.
there. She's right there.
Sandy, hey Sandy. She says, I have cousins in Normandy. My mama is French. Todd
Normandy is a great part of France, right there.
Todd has, oh really, can you?
Well, I haven't been there, but I'd like to go there. But that's
Why-
where you
what's
could
the
go
big
visit
deal?
Omaha Beach. There's a whole bunch of American veterans buried there
For
from
Roseanne.
from D-Day.
Yeah. Todd has a financial question. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
In your opinion, are we getting another stimulus direct payment? Did the original payment actually help the economy?
Well, it takes a little bit of time to filter through, so I think the real judge of if it helped the economy is still a month away. But I do think it's inevitable that it will help because you put money directly in the hands of people, and that's how you get people spending money is you give them money that they didn't have before. And I do think something else is coming. I think if we get to the end of this month or middle of June, and we're still sputtering along without clear direction, I think something else is coming. Now, with the fact that so many states are opening up, we're going to have a pretty good idea of where we're going to be in June, and I think that's going to be.
But you think we'll get another check?
I think it's entirely possible.
So probable or possible?
I think it's possible at the end of this month, which is not very far away. I think I would be able to tell you within within 80, 90%, it's 90% we're going to get another check. I think we'll know by the end of this month because conceivably almost every state will be open by the end of this month. Now,
But
LA
with
County is
unemployment-
saying, well, by the way, we're going to keep you locked down through the election. I wonder how they came up with that number. So,
But the idea being if unemployment's still like 25%.
well, unemployment's going to be high. It's going to take. Remember, for a lot of people, Brian, keep like $10 in their checking account for their emergency fund, and businesses do this too. So, if you close a restaurant down for 2 months and they didn't get the PPP program, they cannot stay open. They couldn't pay their rent.
Yeah.
They couldn't pay their employees. They couldn't order stuff. It's way easier to shut down an economy to just say stop than it is to open it up. So that takes a little bit of time. So you're gonna see high unemployment numbers through May, and I think so what I'd like to tell people is it's not where we're at necessarily. It's the directional heading of the economy. If things are starting to ramp up and we're going in the right direction, that gives me a lot of confidence. And I think we're going to know that by the end of this month.
By the way,
Go ahead.
Whoop.
Go ahead.
TK stopped by. Ayanda Kumalo, what's up, man? Good to see you. He thinks Switzerland is the place to be, and he is absolutely right. It is gorgioso, as they say in Italian.
And they make nice knives.
No, like to wake up and like in Interlaken or something, right surrounded by the Swiss Alps.
Have you done this?
Yes. It's fantastic.
I know, exactly. And then he
What are
sits
they
here and
paying
complains
him?
every
What are they
day.
paying
Exactly.
Listen to me. This was
And
right
I
before.
know coffee.
Thank
This is
you.
all BC, before children.
Uh-huh.
All before children.
ABC.
Might I also add one of my favorite trips was Ghana, West Africa. Beautiful
What?
place
I
to
know,
visit.
yeah, exactly. Brag, Brian. He's like, where?
By the
Aw.
way, Dave has to go because he's traveling to Europe, aren't you? To meet with
I
a
was
client?
supposed to be
Oh,
coming back
yeah,
from
yeah.
Hawaii yesterday.
See,
It's
I
about
told you.
time. That's right, Brian. You let him know. You ain't the only one.
Uh,
Rob said, "Oh, go ahead. You take
well,
it. You take it."
A little bit. Where we were talking about stimulus and all that. So
Roseanne says, "Don't you feel that if the Fed continues to print money, eventually the American currency is going to become like monopoly money?"
No.
you have
no,
a
no.
counterintuitive answer to that from people who know you.
Because everybody is doing it. And so...
Dave, if your friends jumped off a bridge, would you jump off?
I was just thinking of that in my head.
Don't say that, Dave.
When every other country is printing money, and we print money, you inflate against every other currency, or you deflate against every other currency. So when every currency is printing, which everybody is doing right now, it's very difficult to inflate. Now, where I think we could get inflation is, I think, as we disentangle from China over the next several years, and this is going to take a while because that supply chain is very intricate, and we are like wrapped up with China. Now we're going to disintermediate from China over the next couple of years.
That's not a word.
It is, especially if Donald
You
Trump
just
gets
made
reelected.
that up.
If Donald Trump gets reelected, we are definitely going to be tough on China. Now the other people may be also, but I think it's definitely in our best interest to pull things away, to pull some supply chain away from China, like drug manufacturing, especially antibiotics. We have systemically important industries in our country. Airlines, we're not going to let airlines fail. We're not going to let defense companies fail because if we go to war, we need them. So we basically fund them through contracts.
What's that word again? What?
Disintermediate. It's
So
a
it's-
word.
Okay. Disintermediate.
Yeah. With
Did
your
you
PhD,
look that up? Did you look that up?
you're never going to get an honorary PhD if you don't know big words.
Keep
Brian.
it up, Brian.
Well,
Let's
you know,
go.
I do believe in disestablishmentarianism. I like disestablishmentarianism,
Yes.
I think. No, I don't like it. I just like saying it's long.
It's the longest word that's non-medical, I think, in the dictionary.
Disestablishmentarianism. Yeah.
And as we wrap up, we do want to hear this. We can't leave without.
If we bring production
I was
back
going to
here,
ask you another question, but you're right. Finish it.
If we
That's
bring
right, you were
production
still
back
talking.
here,
I'm sorry.
No, I
the costs will rise. That's inflationary. So we could see some inflation based on bringing supply chain back here, which what I would do if I were the government, I would give the drug manufacturers a decommissioned military base. And I'd say, look, you set up drug manufacturing. We're going to do all of our antibiotics there. You're never going to lose money on it. You're not going to make a lot of money on it, but you don't now. But we're going to have it here, and we'll give it to the rest of the world instead of relying on China to give it to us. Because as we have learned, the Chinese government is not our friend. The Chinese people are, and we have no quarrel with them, and probably vice versa. But the Chinese government is never going to be our friend.
Actually, Betty is right. The better word is anti-disestablishmentarianism. It's longer.
Thank you.
And I think we should be anti-disestablishmentarianism. I think
See,
that's
that's
the
a
proper
master's
position.
right there.
But he doesn't know what it means. He doesn't know the derivation of the word.
Well,
How do
it's,
you use it?
Establishment is the root suffix, no, prefix, pardon me. And then
He's never going to get
Arianism.
an honorary PhD.
No, he's not.
Arianism, it's an ism. It's clearly an ism.
You
for
had a
ism.
rough day today. Like you don't realize we're
You
still
guys
your
teamed
friend.
up on me.
I know.
I think what's happened is it's a combination of all the checks he's writing.
Yeah,
It's
dude.
slowing him down a little bit. It's the arthritis coming in.
No, he didn't.
It's his eyes are getting fuzzy from all the staring at fine print on
Wow.
tonographs, and
I must be having cataracts at my age.
you must be.
So we do want to know before we leave what Rob is asking, but let's keep it succinct. So like quickly.
My wife's here, by the way.
How did you start your own business?
I love you, girl.
And what made you do it? Do you do something? Who did you work before your business?
I worked for a big company, and I met Gordon Heffern, who was the former chairman of Key Corp. And Gordon said at our first breakfast after meeting him, and we talked for like an hour, and he said, "David, you're in the wrong place. I'm moving you." I said, "Oh, really?" He said, "Yeah, you're wasting your talent there." And he convinced me to go out and do this. And Gordon was the guy who was responsible for bringing Billy Graham here the first time. He was a powerful Christian. He was a great guy. He gave to the community. His Christianity was so important to him, and dragging other people with him, that it left an indelible mark on me. And his confidence in America. I always had confidence in America, and it was really in basic training that I realized this is way bigger than what I ever thought it was. It's just, and I knew I could do it. I've always been a confident person. Well, at least for a long time, I've been a confident person, and so I knew I could do it, and I was willing to take the risk. And it was one of the few decisions, Rob, where I bet the farm, and it
You owned
paid
a
off.
farm?
I bet the farm. It's a financial term where you say don't bet the
Right.
farm very often.
Hello.
I was questioning whether you
Gangster
could
bee.
actually be a farmer.
I could be. If I didn't do this, I would be a farmer, but not the kind of farmer that I love animals, so I couldn't be the farmer that like slits the throats and stuff like that.
Although
You can care for them. You can get them milk. Just the milk.
Don't you remember? See, come on now, Dave. I remember when you went to a chicken slaughter
I did do
and
that.
sent me pictures of it.
The Mang dynasty, the Mang family. I love them. They're awesome, and they have this operation where I eat meat, but guess what? I'm making a vegan stew tonight. Peanut stew. It sounds horrible,
It's
doesn't
about
it?
time you cook
It looks
for
delicious. though.
Levon.
It looks
It's about
delicious. So we'll see.
So, yeah. Say goodbye to everyone, including my lovely wife, Sarah. I love you, Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
The best wife.
Go write a check.
Sarah, smile.
Write me a check.
Yeah.
Sarah, smile. Did you ever hear Hall & Oates song, Sarah, smile?
Really, Hall & Oates?
Yeah.
Guys,
Oh my
we gotta go.
What?
Why don't
We
you put
gotta
on
go.
a mesh tank top?
People
too,
got
though?
stuff to do.
I should. I don't want to intimidate people watching, though. It'd be a distraction from your financial advice, Dave. All right, we gotta go. Bye.